There we go. Thank you for your patience. Okay, now here we go. Okay, so we just go back briefly to what the objective of Genesis was to present to the people of Israel the history of their ancestors and the origins of their faith. And according to Jewish biblical scholars, the major theme of the book is God's role in human affairs. God created the world and made human beings to work in it and care for it. But humanity kept continually turning away from God. So, and how we got to Noah is the turning away from God. Well, first we had Adam and Eve, and they made a mistake, so to speak. All right, and then their son Seth. We have Seth to Noah. Seth was a God-abiding person and his descendants up until a point, and Seth's descendants started marrying outside of their people, and that, of course, caused them to turn to other religions, other pagan gods, and so that was the turning away. Then Noah is chosen as a righteous one to build the ark, so that humanity build the ark, put one of every kind in the ark, so that the world and humanity could have a new start, because everything had turned wicked. So, but tonight, tonight we are going to have them. Okay, we're going to go to chapter 9 tonight. Now, chapter 8, you can go and read it. Chapter 8, the rest of chapter 8 presents a couple the scenarios of Noah sending out the dove to see if the waters had subsided and whatnot. But I'm going to go ahead and just let you read that. And tonight, they are out of the ark. Okay. And so we're going to start with chapter 9, 1 through 4. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moves upon the earth, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that is alive shall be food for you, even as the green herbs have I given you all things. Only flesh with the life thereof, that is the blood thereof, you shall not eat. All right. Basically, here's where, all right, up until now, from the creation stories, we had people eating plants and green herbs, vegetarian style, okay? And then, so now when we get to this Noah story, and let's remember, folks, these are stories, legends. They are not, well, they have been built into religions, but they're not historic. They're not factual or historical, so to speak. So, but because this is in the Bible, this is where seemingly God gave people the idea to eat flesh. But there was a condition, okay, and the condition, if you know anything about Jewish people and Jewish people that eat kosher, okay, one of the main things about that, about the food that they eat. There's many other things too, but the food that is kosher, okay, it cannot have blood in it. And and I think back, I used to live not here, but I used to live near a Jewish section of town, and and they had wonderful uh, uh, chickens, um, and and I used to get them, and of course, not being a cook, I would notice whether there was blood or not, but they were really really good, and so all of their meats, the Jewish has to buy their meat from special Jewish butchers so that the meat does not contain any blood. And I don't know exactly how they do that, but they do it. Um, and so, as I said, God just gave the okay to eat meat in addition to green herbs in this story of Noah. And this next part, okay. And surely your lifeblood will I avenge. Of every beast will I avenge it, and at the hand of man, and at the hand of a man and his brother will I avenge the life of man. Whoever sheds the blood of men, by men shall his blood be shed. For man was made in the image of God. As for you, be fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly on the earth and multiply in it. Now, this is a particularly, I well, it's a sort of confusing to me, but basically what I found is that essentially we say when a man slays another man, he commits a crime not only against himself but also against all humanity, because all human beings were created in the image of God. So to me, that's a little fuzzy there, but that explains some of it. Now, life is sacred because man is the image and likeness of God. All humanity is like one tree that shares in the same one sap of life. And if we go back, if we were talking about the no blood in the meat. The belief back in those ancient days was that it was the blood that was made the life. That was their um, that was their belief, and that's why they would not eat blood. Okay, and now just another. Okay, Noah's back off the boat, and God promised Noah before he got on the boat that he would make a covenant with him. And so now he's off of the boat and he's making a covenant. And God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, as for me, behold, I will establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the fowl, the cattle, and every wild beast of the earth with you, with all that come out of the ark, and with every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. And this is the covenant, so that never again shall all flesh perish by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. Okay, and remember what we've learned before. This was not the whole earth. Okay, this was that area in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. And that's the area that seemingly the writer is writing about, although it's doubtful that this particular um, Noah story in detail really ever happened. But there were floods, uh, major, massive floods in that area, and that's what the story is writing about. But so this covenant was with Noah, and God said, no, he would never do that again. He would never destroy uh, uh, humans, uh, animals, whatever, again. And that was the nature of the Noah covenant. Now, it's okay. Now, you notice I haven't referred to here. This is referred to as the Rainbow Covenant. And it's kind of the first time in the Bible, and probably since the Bible is so far back, that we hear anything about a rainbow. However, I'm going to read this and you'll notice something. Okay. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my now here's Dr. Lomsa did not translate this as rainbow. He just has bow here. I don't have any explanation as to why he didn't use the word rainbow, except that remember he was he was using Aramaic, and he was not, I don't know if there's even a word for rainbow in but anyway, it has come to be known as rainbow. I set my rainbow in the clouds, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring clouds over the earth that the bow or the rainbow shall be seen in the clouds, which it is, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature that is with you, that is with you of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the clouds, and I will look upon it as a remembrance of the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is upon the earth. So when you when you see a rainbow, you kind of know where it sort of has come from based on Noah. Now, I I personally never knew this, okay, because until I've studied this, but I love rainbows, and you can see my background there has a full rainbow, if you can see that in the background. Anyway, just another little piece of learning from Noah. Okay, now Genesis 9:18 to 19. The sons of Noah who went forth out of the ark were Shem and Ham, it's pronounced in Aramaic, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from them the people spread throughout the earth. And remember, the whole book of Genesis for the Jews was to to show how humanity came about and how humanity grew. So I have a couple of little pictures here, and it does become significant. You'll see a little bit as to where they went. Okay, so you see that okay, Japheth, all right, went north, okay, and his people were, his descendants are in Europe and Asia, okay. Ham, and this becomes very significant, Ham went south to Southwest Asia, Canaan, and Africa. All right, and Shem, okay, and you see them on the map over here. Shem, it is where the word Semite comes from. Shem was in stayed in the Middle East, and where we know is Israel, Arabia, and whatnot. So that is significant with regard to, especially to Ham, especially. And we'll soon see the reason for that. But we're going to go to the beginning of the curse and why it happened. Okay, so Genesis 9, 20 to 23. And Noah began to till the ground, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of its wine and became drunken. And he was uncovered within his tent, which means he was naked within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and he told his two brothers outside. And Shem and Japheth took a mantle and laid it upon both their shoulders and walked backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they did not see their father's nakedness. Now, first of all, nakedness, to even to this day in the Near East and Middle East is a it's a huge no. It if you remember during the Iraq War, there was some prisoner interrogations going on, unfortunately by us and others, and they used this concept. They used the nakedness, and they would, in other words, they would make the prisoners strip, and they used the nakedness for interrogating and whatnot. And that's just a huge no even today in the Near East. And of course, this is back before there was ever any laws or anything. So, but here's the thing. Now, Ham did not cover his father. It's not just that he saw his father naked, but Ham did not cover his father when he was inebriated. But Ham didn't cover his father, and he went and told his two brothers, dad's in there naked, and he's drunk and stuff. And that's what, because people say, what was the big thing about Noah doing the curse? And so Ham did not cover his father when he was inebriated and lying naked on the floor of the tent. Not only this, but he also reported his father's nakedness to his brothers, which also dishonored his father and compounded the offense. This is the way it is. This was a loss of dignity for his father to be found naked and not covered immediately. And there again, especially in the Near East, his brothers entered the tent walking backwards and covered their father. By this act, they restored Noah's honor and dignity. And that's the idea of the nakedness. And that's the major reason uh, why Noah did the curse. All right, now, when Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be to his brothers." Then he said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. God shall enrich Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be their servant." Now, all right, this curse, Noah's curse, uh, has well, the whole Noah incident and the curse. Of course, we in the West have had to have our input and put our culture into it. And but one of the reasons, and if we back up to Ham and seeing his father naked and whatnot, if you were to research on if you were to research on Google or whatever, or other religion things, you're going to see things like, well, it had to be more than just him seeing his father naked. They didn't know. They don't know the culture. Okay, and I mean they had things like there was incest and things like that, and so we it's once again we put our culture into it, and and we come out with all kinds of things, and you're going to see even more. But so why? Okay, so why was the curse put on Canaan, Ham's son? Okay, in the Near East, the greatest curse is when one person curses the son. Not necessarily if they curse each other, but when one person curses the son, the heir of another, or his descendants. To just pronounce a curse directly on a man that one wishes to bring down would not be powerful or damaging enough. But to utter a curse on his son carries more weight and is more effective. Now, um, now just a couple things more about this. Okay, we read in the even up to the times of Jesus, the tradition was always that for generations, children would suffer because of the sins of their fathers for many generations. That was a Near Eastern thing, and it was actually here before the law, before Moses and whatnot. Okay, and now but the other thing to realize here, okay, cursing is what they do in the Near East even today. And it's not just in the Near East. I know that Italians love to curse, the old timey Italians, but it's just um, it's a man thing. It really isn't. It really doesn't do anything. But back then and in the Near East, it's like, well, I'd say it's just a way to get you, a way to feel good. And so, but we have to remember here that Noah, or not, yeah, Noah is the one that did the cursing, okay, not God. All right. I mean, God doesn't curse anybody, and God would not honor that curse. But once again, the story gets it gets uh, interpreted many different ways. And I guess I can say right here, I'll probably say it at the end too. That's why it is so important to understand the Bible from this perspective. Why? And it's not just the Bible, it's the culture, the ancient Near Eastern culture, the 7 keys that we refer to. It's so important because this story, um, when you know the culture and you have learned, from the lots of Bible, it's a story and it's simple, and it hasn't become complicated. But now let's look at this curse, and let's look at the many interpretations of this curse. Now, once again, this is the Old Testament, and many times we say Christians really just pay attention to the New Testament and everything. But hey, if there's something we can pick up in the Old Testament, well, they do it. Now, so many people, and perhaps different religion dominations or whatnot, say and teach that Ham and his descendants are, we'll talk about that in a minute. Ham's descendants are okay, are black, but they say that the curse was that when Noah cursed Ham, he turned black. His skin turned black. Now, but very simply, okay, Ham himself was not black, okay? And forgive me for just using black because I can't, I can't put it any other way. All right, so, but what occurred is, okay, you saw in the map where Ham and his descendants went over. Oh, oops, hold on. Okay, Ham is down here. If you can see it, they went south. Okay, and then as they grew, as his descendants grew, they kept going further south in Africa. Well, Ham himself was not dark. Ham was a typical Near Eastern olive-skinned man. Okay, but what happened with the blackness is that as they moved further and further south, it became hotter and hotter, and their pigment in their skin changed, and so that's how that whole Ham's whole descendants are the black. But okay, um, but Ham himself, like I said, was and was not black, and probably Canaan not either, because they haven't gotten down. But of course, over the years, that's the idea. Now, the curse. All right, if we go back to where I said, all right, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants. Okay, and Canaan shall be their servant. Okay, this during the Civil War. Actually, this says by the 19th century, many historians, the belief that African Americans were descendants of Ham was a primary justification for slavery among Southern Christians. So we have the black, that's Ham went to Africa, and they were the black. And the curse was that Canaan, the son, would be subservient to his brothers and the rest of the people. And so that is the interpretation that came out of the Bible during the Southern during the war. And so since when I saw this about the justification for slavery and everything, I recalled a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. And he explained in one of his sermons about how people use the Bible to justify. All right, and during the 60s and the civil rights movement, people used this as a justification. All men are made in the image of God. Okay. God, as everyone knows, is not a Negro. Therefore, the Negro is not a man. And that's a background for racism, along with the belief that the curse justified slavery. So, okay, so we are essentially done with Noah and his curse, and we will